Welcome to another video. Today we are going to dive into the weird and wacky world of phobias. Everyone has a fear of something, but some people have fears that are really unusual. You think you are afraid of spiders or heights? Well, wait until you hear about the people who are afraid of everyday objects. So let's look at some of the strangest phobias out there. And to make things even more interesting, we'll also be looking at which famous people share these fears. So sit back, relax, and get ready to discover some extremely strange and fascinating phobias. Did you know that there's a fear of loanwords?
Just up the road from Llanfair to Pwllgwyngyll, go get a Quindrobble, Llantysilio, go.
And it's kind of ironic that the name for being scared of loanwords is a super long word itself. Even though it sounds jokey, this fear is for real and can seriously mess up someone's life. If you have this phobia, you might avoid reading or saying certain words simply because they are too long and because they can trigger anxiety attacks. So, why do some people have this fear? It could be due to some anxiety stuff in their genes, or maybe they had a bad experience speaking in front of a crowd. Even Daniel Radcliffe, the guy who played the most famous wizard of all time, has this fear. After fighting off Voldemort and Dementors, you'd think a long word wouldn't be that scary.
Şalgam kırmızı çizgimizdir.
But everyone has their weaknesses. Maybe all those spells were easier to deal with than a 36-letter word. Do you feel uncomfortable when you look at such holes? For someone with trypophobia, one picture of a lotus seed pot is worth 1,000 shudders. So, trypophobia is a fancy way of saying that someone is scared of holy things. And we are not talking about donuts here. We are talking about patterns of small holes clustered together, like beehives, coral, or even bubbles on a pancake. Scientists aren't exactly sure why this happens, but one theory is that our brains see these patterns as signs of disease or infection, like skin lesions or insect bites. In any case, if you have trypophobia, just know that you are not alone. PewDiePie, the famous YouTuber, has mentioned his aversion to trypophobia in some of his videos.
I hate holes.
It was kind of funny to watch, but you could also tell that he was super uncomfortable. Do you get sweaty palms and a racing heart at the sight of a clown? Pennywise is probably not your friend. It's not just the makeup and the weird behavior, it's the whole package. The oversized shoes, the red nose, the creepy smile, and the fact that you never know what's under that wig. Clowns are supposed to be funny, right? But for some people, they're the stuff of nightmares, including superstar Johnny Depp, who has spoken publicly about his own fear of clowns. It is hard to imagine how he was able to bring such an eccentric and colorful character like the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland to life, while dealing with his own fear of clowns. Okay, let's face it, he's probably just too good of an actor to let that fear stop him. Imagine that you are walking in the park and suddenly you notice a duck staring at you. At first you think it's cute. Oh, a little duck watching me. But then you realize that the duck is not just looking at you, it's judging you. And you start to feel uneasy, like you're on trial for some duck-related crime. It might sound a bit strange, and it's not a common phobia, but for some, the fear is real. A person might avoid certain locations or even stop leaving their home in order to prevent any encounters with them. In some cases, people may also have a panic attack. There's a rumor that Alfred Hitchcock, the famous filmmaker, had this phobia. Maybe his use of birds in his movies like The Birds was his way of confronting his fear and walking through it. Or maybe he just thought birds were super creepy and wanted to freak people out with them. Did you know that swinophobia, or fear of pigs, is a real thing? That's right, some people out there are just terrified of these little oinkers. The fear of pigs can develop for different reasons, like a traumatic experience with pigs, hearing negative stories or rumors about them, or cultural or religious beliefs that view pigs as unclean animals. While swinophobia isn't super common, even famous people like Orlando Bloom may struggle with it. Bloom has not spoken much about his fear of pigs, but it was first noticed during the filming of Kingdom of Heaven. People saw him running from a pig that had escaped on set. His fear of pigs appears to be quite intense, as he immediately left the set to avoid the animal after it broke free. As we've seen, even famous people have their own freaky phobias. So, if you have an unusual fear, there's no need to worry. Let me know down in the comments if you know super weird phobia I didn't mention. Thanks for watching!